Hello, this is Scott Gray giving a demonstration of how to properly hook up your J.E.D.I control system displays. We're going to start this demonstration by showing you the power supply and how you should hook that up. And here is the J.E.D.I DC-DC power supply. The way that I have it oriented here, the input is over here, and that hooks to your battery. I'm hooking it to a power supply, benchtop power supply that's providing 12 volts. So this can be anywhere from 9 volts to 28 volts. Over here is the plus 5 volt outputs, and what I have hooked up to the plus 5 outputs already are the two front logic displays. That's hooked up to these terminals. Be sure to make sure you look at the terminals and determine which side is B plus and minus. They're marked on the terminal. I don't know that you can see that, but it says plus and minus. So the red here I have hooked to plus, and the minus I have hooked up to the black wires. It's hooked up to both front logic displays and then back into one of the outputs of the DC-DC converter. The other output of the DC-DC converter is going over to one of the LCD extension cables, and all I have done is put the black wire, which is ground, into the pin 3, and the red wire into the middle pin, which is pin 2. The black and the red, they're lined up, and the other end here I will plug into the display controller. This here is the display controller, and this connector will plug into the PDC RX connector, which is this connector right here, one below the diode, with the white lead, which is pin 1 on the left side. This is what connects power to the display controller. By hooking the power from the DC-DC converter over through to the LCD extension cable and into the DC-DC converter provides power. For the displays, they receive power directly from the converter through the cables that you hook up to the terminals. At this point, I'll turn on the supply, and we will see the green light turn on the DC-DC converter. If I use a voltmeter, we can see we're almost at 5 volts. 4.99 volts is the output of the DC-DC converter. You can see that I hooked it up here on a spare terminal out block. And we can also see that we have a light on the display controller. At this time now, I will turn the power back off and connect up the signals. Go ahead. On the display controller, I'm going to hook up to the connector that's called TFLD, which stands for the top FLD. Again, pin 1 is always on the inside, so I connect the white wire to the inside, and then this is going to go over to the top. This goes over to the top FLD, and it goes to the PFLD in A, which is the connector closest to the terminal block. Again, the pin 1 is on the inside, so the white wire will connect to the inside pin, like this. The next connection that I will make is the bottom FLD, the front logic display. It hooks up exactly the same on the display controller. I'm going to hook into the PBFLD for bottom FLD. Pin 1 is on the inside with the white wire. This will connect over to the bottom FLD, and the bottom FLD you can tell because the writing is over here on the side. The top one you can tell because the writing is along here on the bottom. Is right here on the bottom, and on the top one there's silkscreen writing on the side here. However, for the bottom one, pin 1, you got to be careful. It's on the outside. It's on the outside. It's on the inside for the top and on the outside on the bottom. I did this so that when you have it mounted in your dome, they're lined up. See how the white pin is both on the same way. After they made this connection, we can turn these displays over so that we can see them in action. So I'll turn the power on.
Are this also on YouTube?
This is on with the power on, and you can see that it starts with a startup a startup display, and then we'll go across and say J.E.D.I version 1.9 on the display. The RLD hooks up similarly, but it hooks into the RLD connector, which is right above the two FLD connectors. It's the third connector up from the bottom on the right-hand side. And now you can see that we have random displays. The next thing that I'll hook up is one of the HPs. The HP is hooked up. The HP is hooked up to an LCD extension cable the same way. There's a marking for pin 1. I put that to the white pin, like this. And then this connects to the top FLD. And on the top FLD, there'll be a connector that has the name PHP1, PHP2, and PHP3. It's the top 3 HP connector pins, or connectors right below the PFLD NA, which is what you hooked up to the display controller. So I'll plug that into PFLD1, PHP1, again with pin 1 there, to the inside. When I do that and I turn the power on, we will see that the HP light comes on for about 4 seconds and then will turn off. That's what happens unless you have something to send commands to the display to change the and turn the HP on. So as a test, the LED will come on for about 4 seconds at power up. At this time, I'll now hook up one of the PSIs. This here is the top the front PSI. It's the red and blue PSI. Again, on the back, it will have a pin 1 marking that I hook up to the white connector, and to the pin 1 to the white wire connector. And it also hooks into the top FLD, into the front PSI, which is the PSI marked PF PSI, PSI A. And again, I hook it up to pin 1. Again, when I turn power on, I will see these LEDs go on, but unlike the HP, the PSI always stays lit and will blink back and forth between the red and the blue. Everything hooked up, and you can see all 3 HPs on, and the PSIs go on. The HPs turn off after 4 seconds, and now only the PSIs are blinking back and forth. You can see that we have the random displays on the front displays. The RLD would also have it, but I forgot to bring one. Our power supply is on, as you can see by the green light there, and we have the green light on our display controller. One final hookup that I want to show is the LCD display. Turn the power off, and we will hook up the LCD. The LCD hooks up to the display controller. Again, pin 1 is hooked up on the back of the LCD to the pin 1, which is the RX pin. The black pin hooks to the pin called GND. Make sure that the switches are both to on if you have the parallax serial LCD. That makes the baud rate 19,200, which is what is put out by the display controller. After you hook up the LCD display connector, hook up the connector to the display controller on connector PLCD-DC, which is the LCD display controller connector, pin 1 to the inside. All the pin 1s are on the inside on the display controller. All of them have the white pin connected on the inside. We turn power back on, and what we can see on the display, LCD display, is a status message on the startup and the running condition of the display controller. Right now it's doing test. Once it goes to random display, we see some information telling us the mode for each of the front logic, the 2 front logic, the rear logic display, the PSIs and HPs.